December 17th, 43 degrees. Why am I taking a picture of this weirdo video of this? Well, it's because look at that. Right there. So you got this, and you got this, you got this, and you got this. That means there's 4 trees here. Before we close on my property, I planted these 45 trees. I got them thanks to Indiana Nut Growers Association with Jerry Lehman. R.I.P. Jerry. So, I planted these persimmons, which means I have a wild root stock. And then I talked to Cliff England, shout out to England's nursery, about getting better genetics. Why? Because I don't know if a seedling's gonna be a male or a female. So I want a guaranteed female. Cliff hooked me up, and I got all these different varieties I Googled about that you'll find on the internet these days. This is Dollywood. You got Proc, WS8-18, Rosianka, Elmo, H118, Deer Magnet, Deer Candy, got them all. Then I tried Dollywood. It's good, not my favorite, because I'm picky. So, after I grafted Dollywood, it took about 8 years from the time I planted all this, and I had fruit. Well, I realized I didn't like Dollywood. D128 or dash 128 Dollywood. So that would have been, I believe, row D. It was tree 128 out of his name. Can't remember his name, but he had a huge orchard. Anyways, fast forward, I talked to England's nursery again with Mr. Cliff, and I said, hey, Cliff, let's try something a little crazy. And he said, I agree. I'm working on some genetics. I said, what are you working on, Cliff? And he says, well, I have this Asian persimmon called Seijo. I don't know. Cliff, please forgive me for butchering it. Crossed with the Rosianka. And what that means is Rosianka, which is right over there, is, some would say Russian, some would say Ukrainian, but it's a hybrid between an Asian variety and an American persimmon. Otherwise, the Asians don't grow here. It's too cold. They die out unless you're south of Kentucky. So, not always, but let's just say in general terms. So they took that variety, that female right there, and then they pollinated it with, and I know nothing about this one, the Seijo. Okay, so let's just assume that's an Asian variety too, or at least half Asian. Don't know. So I stuck that. I got it from Cliff England. I believe he has these at his nursery. And if you haven't gone down there during fruit harvesting season, oh my goodness. And also I believe he has trees, but you're gonna have to make a drive because that man is way too busy to be sending stuff out. And so let's take a look at this. I need to actually do some work on this. I've been sick. Darn you, lupus. So shouldn't even be out here. But I love my trees. So do you see, I'm gonna get in there. See all the callousing? Isn't that awesome? I mean, just amazing. Up here, it's callousing, okay? So what did I do? Why did I do it? Well, this is paraffin wax. This keeps the moisture. When I take the stick and I cut it, a piece of scion, it had 1 bud, 2 bud, 3 bud, okay? So it'd been like 1 bud, 2 bud, 3 bud. So you make it fit. There's ways to do it. And you wrap it with a rubber band, and you wrap it with paraffin wax, and hopefully that surgery, it's done sterile and at the correct time of year, it will try to heal. And it did. And as I showed with the white pine today, I believe, so this is 1 year of growth. So that's 2.5, 3 foot. Same with this one over here, which is a different variety. I will talk about that in a second. So you can see where it's healing with all the callousing. Now what I need to do as a nurseryman is take all these off. Okay, now let's describe why this looks like hell. That's to keep the deer from rubbing. This was to keep the deer from rubbing. I need to get this out of here now. This was working really well for me, but I found out down there at England's nursery that if you put a T-post or something next to your trees, the deer just don't rub them. I don't know why. So, yeah. If you have any trees out in your field, you can plant as many as you want and not have to take care of them. If you do bare root. You see down there that hardware cloth, that fabric, that metal? It's 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. You can do 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. Does not matter. All your, well, yeah, less than a 1/2 inch. Not chicken wire. Hardware cloth. You buy it on Amazon, 100-foot roll, cut it into sections, make a tube, wrap around your tree. Make sure it's a little bit underground, not buried, but underground a little bit. About, maybe that much, an inch, a Smurf's foot. And you do that so that way so in the wintertime, this time, rabbits get hungry. They don't eat these persimmons as much as the pawpaws and other things. They just bite them off. Or the apples. My goodness, you have to do this for apples. If you're planting out in wildlife. So this protects from the rabbits girdling the apple trees. It protects from the mice from making a nest inside, because if you have a tree tube or corrugated pipe, they will make a nest inside and they will girdle inside that tube of protection in their little nest. You built them a perfect kitchen house. So you put this underground so that way they can't hide anywhere. The voles, if it's about 1 inch down, when they try to dig underground underneath the snow, they'll hit that wire and they don't like it. They go elsewhere. So now you're protecting the roots from the voles. You're protecting the base of the tree from the mice. You're protecting the upper above the ground from the rabbits. Yeah, cool. So that's why that's there. And that's not coming off. All these are suckers. These are all coming from the root stock until you get about to right here. And then this, I guess, would be dollywood. So I'm going to, now that these have successfully grafted, I'm going to thin out these, which is going to really force a lot of healing. And I need to do it soon because you'd be surprised how much growing these trees do in the wintertime. So by getting rid of this, the tree goes, and it heals these up as quick as it can. And it goes, well, where else can we send resources? Oh, up here? Well, it can feel the wind. There's chemicals in those cells that literally can feel, and they put off, it's crazy. So they put off cells and then they make more. So anyway, that way this graft won't break next year. Now, if this, going back to the varieties that you can get at England's Nursery, shout out to Cliff. Sayo and Rosie crossed. This seed of this was put into a field, and I think if I have my records right, it's row 17, tree 1. So the first tree in that row is this one. Then you go over and you look at this. This is a sister. And so it would have been tree 33. So now I will get to watch and establish a difference in these two, and I'll probably graft them to other trees. I like to have backups. So this is essentially like a library tree now. Just for storage of genetics, and I get fruit. So that's what these two are. And I'll clean these up. And why do I want them? Well, because that mother right there to these two daughters, wow, that's really cool. That is their mothers. I just realized that. I know I said it, but I just realized it. How cool that is. She is not as cold hardy because she's half Asian compared to the Americans variety. Virginiana? So what happens is, like last year, I only got 3 fruit off of this whole tree compared to the year before I got pounds. Why? Because it got warm and then it got cold and it tried to bloom out, and these ones didn't. These American varieties, they wait till later, and then it zapped 95% of the flowers. So only like 5% of them actually pollinated and grew to size. The reason you don't want that is obvious. So what we're hoping, I talked to Cliff about, is hopefully, because he has a very similar weather district, by doing these other Asian varieties, you're trying to get better Asian quality genetics, but still maintaining that American variety of winter hardiness. I don't know how hard these will be, but I know he was covered in fruit last year, and I know he's got a bunch of varieties that are just amazing. So these are just 2 in my yard that I get to watch over the next 5 years. And I keep planting more persimmons and I keep grafting more persimmons, because when you have 27 varieties, it just doesn't seem enough, I guess. Ask Cliff, he's got hundreds. All right, so, I can't ever forget about this tree. If you want a good American variety, my personal biased opinion, this is my favorite persimmon in all of America. This is the H120. I'll just show you a visual for that, because I think I'm gonna make me a second tag for this one, just because that one, yeah. See, I think it was like number 4 in the row or something, but it doesn't matter. Ignore that. Nope, actually, scratch that 4D. H, it was in row H, and it was the 120th tree. Claypool, that's his name. Jim Claypool? Yeah, I think he was one of the guys that originally started all this. So, if you can talk to any nursery, and I know I got this from Cliff, so I'm assuming he's got a bunch, and I think I'm gonna start potting these guys up and grafting them too. I just do most of them in the yard, but you know, why not have extras? H120, I'd talk to England's nursery and get some of them. So, until next time, bye-bye, see ya. Bat symbol out.